Hello, everybody. Today is the 6th of September 2025. We are gathered here for the 199th session of Mindfulness for Beginners in English, conducted by Nissarana Vanaya. As usual, I'd like to warmly welcome Venerable Homagapa Dhamma Kusala Thero for this session. And I'd like to welcome everyone who has joined us via Zoom or watching later via the YouTube link that we have provided. As usual, our program will begin with the in-session practice of mindfulness. We will then move on to today's topic, which is actually, I've forgotten what the topic is. I'll remind you in a little bit. And we will then move on to any reports and any questions that we have. So to start the in-session practice of mindfulness, I now invite Bhante.
Thanks, Sonali. Hello, everyone. So today I thought that we can do an activity related to the topic. For this, you need probably like a couple of glasses of water. And when you have that, we can start. So we give some time for everyone to grab a couple of glasses of water. I can see that Sonali is ready. How about others? It would be very nice if you can turn on video and join for the activity. We'll wait another minute probably for the others to gather their stuff. And for this activity, we would really appreciate if you can turn on video and join. We need at least like 5-6 people. Sonali, can you find that setting?
I'm not really sure how to do that, Bhante. I'm trying to... Oh, yeah. Okay, I can see it.
Okay then, so we will start with the activity for today. And for this you need, as I mentioned, a couple of glasses of water that is required. And this activity, it's about staying with a particular task for a longer time. Same goes for our meditation. When we meditate, it's the same boring task, but we try to stay with it for a longer period. So here also we are trying to stay with this simple task for a longer period, and we try to pay attention to each and every step. You try to focus on each and every step, and we try to do it slowly, mindfully, silently. And the steps are simpler. Now let's say you have a desk in front of you, so you can keep the glasses of water on the desk, and it involves probably like 3 steps. Let's say 3. You are seated, you have your hands placed on your lap. This is the starting position. Then you lift your hand, grab the glass of water, bring it towards your mouth. Then take a small sip of water. Notice the texture, temperature of water. Notice how we are swallowing. That is the second step. Then again putting the glass on the table and bringing your hand to the resting posture. So it involves 3 steps. Clear? The first one is starting from the resting posture. You take the glass of water. You bring it towards your mouth. That's the first step. Then you take a small sip of water. Notice how you are swallowing. Feel the sensations in it. That's the second step. Again, put the glass of water on the table and come back to the resting posture. So it involves 3 steps. 3 simple steps. This is a simple activity that we do almost every day for many times. But here in this activity, we try to do this repetitively and we try to keep our attention focused on these steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Then again step 1, step 2, step 3. So that way probably like we can do 25 rounds. 25 rounds, right? So make sure that you only sip your water. Otherwise you'll be really full by the end of it, right? So you have a couple of glasses in case you have to move to the next one. But we'll take a sip of water only. And that way we try to do 25 rounds. Clear? Any questions? So the idea is to do this repetitive task and stay with that for a longer period. Our attention might wander. We start, becoming like a machine doing this automatically. But we try to break those tendencies and simply focus on the activity at hand. Simply notice the sensations, notice the touch points, notice the texture, temperature of the feeling, notice the weight, notice the drinking part. Then again, when you return the glass, when you put the glass back, you can notice those details. So that way we will start. Maybe somebody, Sonal, you can give a sign and we will start. I don't have a glass of water, but I have a bottle. I think we have completed the task. I wasn't in sync with you people. Only at the end I realized that you are following the same pattern. Anyway, I completed the 25 rounds, and maybe we can take few minutes to share our observations, maybe your experience with it. What I noticed was um, I can see that step number 2 and step number 3, they kept happening simultaneously. That I noticed, and mind trying to, get into some other thoughts, ideas, objects, and maybe even losing the count of number of sips, number of rounds. So those were my observations. Yes, Sonali.
Bhante, for me, I felt like the second step had many steps, the sipping part, because when the glass was moving close to the mouth, I felt like the mouth was getting ready for to receive that, so it was taking shape already, and then the feel of it inside before, and then the swallowing. So I felt like there was more steps to the second action. And also the touching the glass felt very cold, so that was there as well. And then after about the 10th move, my mind went off for a bit to do some other thought, and then I realized and came back, and I was at the task after that.
Yes. So the second step is a bit complicated, as you said. Now, I had warm water, so I could feel the temperature and the hot air, maybe before even touching the water. So it involves like a few various steps, consuming, swallowing something. Yes. Chamari?
Thank you, Bhante. Yeah, I mean, thinking of drinking 2 glasses of water, that really kind of was like, oh, be prepared because I have to run for my exercise class halfway through. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to do that. So there was a determination to take very small sips. So that was there in the mind. And then because they were very small sips, it tasted just like nothing, just like the saliva in the mouth. And by the 12th time, the boredom had properly set in. And then I noticed the heaviness of the glass. I mean, it's a heavier one of the 2 I had. But from then I realized, oh, this is really heavy. So rather than the swallowing, my attention was on lifting and keeping the glass. But I knew that you can go past boredom. I've experienced it enough times.
Yes. So in meditation, it is natural that the boredom comes. But even during such an activity, we can see after a certain level, the boredom appears. So you are doing the repetitive task and you are trying to keep your attention there. Naturally, the boredom comes. I didn't think that in this type of activity that much of a boredom might appear, but you are right. Even in my process, I felt that the boredom comes, and there were like real signs of sitting or walking meditation in this process. When you do something repetitively, when you do something with attention, it becomes naturally a meditation. It doesn't matter what you do, it becomes a meditation. Anyone else? If you can use the Zoom hand. Panchani, you.
Bante, my step one was a bit longer because I was doing it with a previously fractured arm. So I could feel the subtle pains on my shoulder. And that was longer than maybe for others. So I was observing pain. But I could also observe the coldness of the water. And then I could also feel that the water was getting warmer in my mouth. But the putting down and lifting up was longer because I was observing my pains of my shoulders.
Yes, so let's say an injury. Those things in a way force us to pay attention. If the shoulders are working properly, then we might not pay much of attention. But when there's pain, when there's friction, you can really feel that you move it slow and the pain demands your attention, right? So when such things happen, in a way, it's a blessing to be mindful. Not the injury, I mean, like for the practice, it becomes a blessing. So that way we can use mindfulness in such situations as well. When we are injured, when we have some difficulty walking, we can really feel the body moving. We can really see how much of a weight that we are carrying as the body. So those observations are valid. If there are no other experiences, we can move forward to the next part. We can see how this very activity relates to our topic.
Thank you, Bante. Yes, next on the agenda is our talk on today's topic, and the topic this week is persistence, and it is definitely our activities related to the topic today. I now invite Bante again to start the talk.
Yes, everyone. So we are starting with a fresh topic, and this one, whether you do certain studies or trying to achieve some other skill, this quality is needed. If you want to earn money, develop a business, this quality is needed. Whatever the skill, ability, goal that you want to develop, this quality is important. Not only for the worldly things, but even for meditation, to develop your mind. This quality is very much important, valuable. So that's the topic that we have today. And it's a quote from Albert Einstein. And he says, "It's not that I am so smart. It's just I stay with problems longer." That's what Albert Einstein is saying. He's saying it's not that he's so smart. Instead, he stays with the problem longer. That's the idea. If you can stay with the problem for a longer period, if you can have that quality, if you have the persistence to continue with a certain task, then I'm sure you can find a solution for it. You can resolve this problem. Let's say whatever the skill activity that you want to develop, if you stay long enough, I'm sure that will help you to develop that particular skill or the ability. So that's the topic for today, and we will see how important the quality of persistence in the practice of meditation. Now, the idea of meditation, the idea of practice is to, let's say, find peace in your mind, or otherwise see the reality of this world. And that's the very idea of the practice. Now, when we function, usually we are in this automated mode. We function like machines. It's like, a computer program that runs. When you want to brush your teeth, there's this particular program that runs, and simply that activity gets done. When you want to eat your meals, there's this other program that runs, and the activity gets done in a short period. Whatever the things you do, usually you have this reserved program for it. Your body and mind, there's this programming. And you simply has to call that programming, execute that programming, and the activity will happen. This is how we function. It's like this program is controlling you, and whatever the things you do, whatever the choices you make, whatever the thoughts, opinions that you have, all these things, we try to justify them. We try to give reasons for them. It's like there's this somebody else's actions, and you yourself, you try to justify those actions. Somebody else's thoughts are there, you try to justify those thoughts. Somebody else makes choices for you, and you try to justify those choices. That type of a issue is there in this day-to-day functioning. We are more like this automated machine, and we really have no control over it. But in a way, we try to make it ours. We try to justify all these thoughts, actions, choices we make. That process is happening time after time. When you are used to something that demands very little attention, you have been brushing your teeth for a long period, and that demands very little attention. You have been eating meals for a long period, that demands very little attention. Most of the activities that you do, you simply run this programming. This automated kind of a program is run, and the activity gets done. That's how we function. And maybe certain habits are there, certain patterns are there. All these things we justify. The habits, we feel like we are making choices. The patterns, we feel like that is our personality. Whatever the things that you repetitively do, it feels like consistency. So this way we are functioning. Imagine waking up early in the morning. What are the activities that you do? Maybe you drink a cup of coffee. You get ready for work. You drive to work. You have your breakfast. So these things are repetitive activities. We have been doing them for many decades. And each morning you wake up, you drink a cup of coffee. You eat the same meals. You take the same route to work. So this way we are doing repetitive things. We are doing the same things over and over again. And the programming, it likes this. Because when the activities are repetitive, very little attention is needed. The earlier programming can simply run this. Time after time, the same repetitive activities are performed. And what is the result of this programming? You start to feel lot of friction in it. You start to feel your mind is all over the place. You start to feel more and more thoughts, more and more addictions, more and more chaos is appearing in your mind. And in this modern age, the programming, it becomes much easier. When we work with the screens, we sit down, we are focused, and our mind is disengaged. And directly all the programming, all the information goes to our subconscious. That way we might be spending so many hours on a screen. Then when it comes to things like social media, they have real-time feedback as well. Whatever the feeding that works, it gets real-time feedback. When, let's say, you watch videos for a longer period, the algorithm will read that this is your liking. You make comments, you give likes, you share them. The algorithm will read that this person favors this kind of feed. So you can see that real-time feedback is also there. Then the algorithm knows which things to feed you. So you can see more and more programming, more and more disengaged mind, more and more chaos is simply appearing. Now this is how it works. Now when it comes to the practice of meditation, we say you have to be the observer. You have to simply catch this programming in action. So earlier you have been doing them with unmindfulness, but now you intentionally engage with these activities and try to be mindful during them. Your repetitive activities, the daily activities, Earlier you have been doing them unmindfully, but now you pay attention to them. You try to observe them. You try to engage with those activities. So that difference is there when we practice. We simply try to catch this programming in action. And you have to understand the programming is so powerful. So it is not easy for us to catch this. Sometimes you feel like the mind is so powerful, the mind is so strong, you can't be mindful. Especially beginners, they complain. They say, I can't be mindful. My mind is out of control. There's a lot of chaos in my mind. So that is natural because this very programming, it has been there for a long time. It is very strong. So observing, catching it isn't easy. That's where the quality of persistence is important. You continue with this observation for a longer period. Now you know the problem. The problem is this very existence. The problem is this very programming. So instead of trying to solve, what you do is you simply stay with this problem for a long period. Similar to the idea Albert Einstein is giving. If we have the ability to stay longer with the problem, then eventually we'll be able to solve it. If you have the ability to stay longer with this programming, then you will be able to crack this code. That's the very idea. So you continue your observation. Most people, they think this practice of mindfulness, practice of meditation, they simply want to, put little effort and get the benefit. It's like drive-through. Can we get out of the drive-through? That's what they prefer. But that's not the case. You have to have the quality of persistence. You continue with the observation for a longer period. You try to catch this programming in action. You try to see how you are getting caught in anger time after time. When you are angry, the programming is so strong, you become the anger and things go out of your control. When you are angry, you don't know what you are saying. Your reaction, you didn't plan it earlier, but they automatically happen. When certain problems appear, you can see how the compulsive thinking is there. Time after time, your mind goes to the same problem. Your mind creates same worrying thoughts. So this compulsive thinking is there. You prefer getting rid of it. You prefer having a good night's sleep. But that's not possible. So these occasions, we can simply catch the programming. We can see how this works. Do I have a choice in this? Do I have a choice whether to get angry or not? Do I have the choice whether to worry or not? You can really observe and see whether you have a choice in this. That very observation, we try to do it. You have to understand the quality of persistence is very important when it comes to the practice. Many people, they start, but they continue only for a short period. And they say the practice didn't work for them. But when you continue for some time, when you continue for a long period, then you realize the practice works. So it's the quality of persistence. Probably not the smartest person, like Albert Einstein is saying, but you were able to stay with the practice for a long period. That very ability allowed your practice to develop, and as a result, you see that you are improving. You are able to catch the programming much better. And the practice suggests that we should be doing our day-to-day activities, repetitive activities with attention. Usually, we don't have much attention towards them. We simply let the programming run. But now, for the sake of the practice, you try to do them attentively. That very observation we do, and we have to do it for many times. You can't simply do it one time with attention and say that you have observed. Even some people, when we say observe the breathing, they simply observe few breath cycles and they say, I have done it. They observe few steps and they say, I have done it. But that's not the way of the practice. You can observe it once or a couple more times, but you won't be able to catch much of it because the programming is so strong. You have to do the observation for many thousands of times. Now, there's this Russian philosopher, I think his name was Gurdjieff, and he suggested certain activities in order to catch this programming, in order to observe this programming. The activities, they are similar to the activity that we have done today. Repeating the same simple activity for many hundreds of times and trying to observe it mindfully, trying to do it attentively. Now in today's activity also, we tried to do 25 rounds. And you could see how your mind prefers getting distracted. You could see when you repetitively pay attention to the same task, the boredom appears. You could see if you are successful, then you start to observe so many little details. So this way, doing these activities repetitively and observing, this Russian philosopher is suggesting That this way we should be able to catch the real programming. We should be able to transcend the programming. We should be able to crack the code. That's his idea. So in meditation, in our practice, we don't try to get into unnecessary patterns. Instead, we have our daily life. We have many repetitive activities and we try to do them mindfully. Every day you are having few meals. You have been having them for many decades. You have been drinking water for many decades. You have been washing yourself for many decades. So simply pay attention to those repetitive activities and try to do them mindfully. That's the very practice, and that way we try to catch the programming. We try to crack this code. And when you do that, you can really see how the very existence reveal itself in the process. When you do it for many times, when you do it mindfully, you start to see cracks in this program. Now, if you go on YouTube, the most popular channel would be, or the most popular guy on YouTube would be Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, he has been doing this for many, I think maybe around 15 years. And in his channel, the very first videos he has done 12 or so years ago, this fellow has done similar activities. Staring at a blank screen or white noise kind of a screen for 6 hours. Screen, it doesn't show anything, only the white noise. And you keep staring at it for 6 hours. Counting to a particular number, very high number, or repeating the same phrase for 1,000 times. So these type of activities or these type of videos he has done, and you can see how in the beginning lot of energy, lot of excitement, and you do it properly. But when you go through the whole cycle, when you go through many hours, when you go through many hundreds of repetitive activities, this person, he loses the energy, the boredom appears, the mind gets distracted, all those symptoms come. Maybe towards the end of the video, it's like more like detoxing symptoms. You can feel that he's having trouble continuing. So when we observe our daily activities repetitively, then gradually the reality of this existence get revealed. Most of the time we change activities, we change objects. That is how we function. But in the practice, we suggest that we should be paying attention to the activity at hand. We do it in the sitting, we do it in the walking, and even daily activities. We try to pay attention to the particular activity. And that way, when you try for many rounds, you can see the reality of the existence, it reveals itself. Earlier, the programming, it ran under the cover of ignorance, but now due to the light, due to the mindfulness, you start to see the cracks of this programming. Gradually, you can see those cracks appear. You can see how little you have a control in your body and mind. You do many things in your body, but are you really in control? You think thoughts, have many opinions in your mind, make choices, but are you really in control? That very observation will develop, and gradually you can really see what's the reality behind this. And more you see the reality, more distance the mind will create from the programming. Earlier, you claimed ownership to all those actions, to all those incidents, to all those opinions, thoughts. But now when you realize it is not really you, that helps you to create some detachment from them. Naturally, the detachment arises. This is not really mine. These are not really my thoughts. Although it feels like I am making choices, I am not really making choices. So that very observation for many thousands of rounds will create a certain detachment in your mind. And that detachment will generate the peace within. When you have a lot of attachment, naturally the little peace that you'll experience. You'll make everything yours. You'll complain over them. You'll try to change them. That type of a behavior is there when there is a lot of attachment. For attachment, the result is suffering. If you have extreme attachment towards this programming, then naturally extreme levels of suffering you will be experiencing. Detachment, the result is peace. If you have little detachment from this programming, you will be experiencing little peace. If you have majority of the detachment from this process, then you will experience a whole lot of peace in you. That's the very idea. That's the very evolution in the practice. But let me repeat again. If you want to develop this practice, if you want to feel the peace that appears from the practice, then you have to have the quality of persistence. This quality is very important in the practice. Many people come, but only few people will remain for a year or so. And when they remain only, they start to see the results of the practice. So that very quality of persistence, staying with this problem for a longer period, that ability we have to have, and that will help us to experience lasting peace within. So that's the idea for today. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Bhante. As with anything, persistence based. So that then moves on to our next item in the agenda, which is the reports that we have received that we present to Bhante for his feedback. Before that, I will quickly run through the guide of as a reminder to all of us, or as if anyone else is watching from via YouTube, or anyone who may be watching our link later would want to know, Nissarana Vanaya has produced a couple of videos to get us starting to do our mindful walking and mindful sitting practice. These videos will help you to get started and remind you of what to look out for as well. And once you have watched the videos, you can then allocate any amount of time to begin with to start mindful walking and mindful sitting. Once you are comfortable with a small amount of time, slowly increase your time. We do recommend 2 hours of each practice. However, you can continue with any amount of time that you are comfortable with and gradually increase it as you get more comfortable. Once you have experiences of your own, that is when we want to hear from you. Write down your reflections in a report. You will see a couple of reports from now on to get at the format of how you we would like to receive it as well. And this would be on your own experience. It is what you felt when you were doing the meditation practice, how your mind was when, what you felt with the walking, your sensations on your feet, and while you were sitting, what your primary object was, and then how you went on, even if you were distracted, whether you remember all of that. So that is your own experience. That is what we are expecting to hear. So Bhante can give you some guidelines, guidance into how you can proceed further. So you can send out reports via a Google format that's there. I will share all these links on the chat section in a little bit. And then the email is beginnersenvy@gmail.com. Via this, you can communicate with us to know other things as well. If you'd like to hear different topics and things like that, you can write to us using this same email. And if anyone would like to access our old previous sessions, they are all on the Nissarana Vanaya website via this link. And if you'd like to see the video version of it, it is shared on the YouTube channel. And I will share those details later on with you as well. Now, to start, we have received 2 reports for the day, Bhante. And I will start with the first one. Mindful walking. Place, compound. Time 7:45 a.m. Duration 45 minutes. Primary object, sensations on soles of the feet. I walked freely few times up and down, then stood at the edge of the walking path and observed the posture. It was like a pillar. I began to walk ahead, labeling feet as left and right. I felt the roughness and hardness of gravel floor. It was dry and rather cold. Heard beautiful songs of birds. Time to time heard machinery noises. Thoughts migrated to future, wondering what I should do on the Poya day. Decided to observe Sil at Nissarana Vanaya in Galavita branch. Realized that I am no more meditating. Mind started to scold me for being so careless. It went on and on. I said Pikachu and started to observe the sensations on soles again. This time my mind was more calm. So I labeled feet as rising, moving and placing. In this way walked till the alarm rang. Mind became peaceful. Ankle lifted first and was placed first. Weight of the body was mainly borne by the ankles. Right leg seemed shorter than the left leg. Clothes touched the body. Cold breezes hugged me tenderly. Toes lifted finally and were placed finally. Mindful sitting. Place on a cushion in the room. Time 8:45 a.m. Duration 40 minutes. Primary object, abdominal movements. I sat and observed posture as a pyramid. Then I listened to sounds of the nature. Afterwards, I began to observe belly movements. Rising were longer than falling at times. Then occurred the opposite. Thoughts were less than in walking meditation, very calm and peaceful. I put my focus on posture and observed its margins and waited for some time. I felt an itch on the foot. Clothes touched my body. Mindfulness during the day, day-to-day life, while scraping coconuts. While I heard the coconut shell, I felt the roughness and hardness of it. It was very cold as it was in fridge. I wetted it to increase the friction to hold it tight. I began to scrape, taking coconut shell in left hand and handle of the machine in right hand. A noise began. Whole thing was rather trembling. I saw the coconut in cup. By the end, it became rather light brown in color. Noise also gradually changed. A difficulty which I felt at the beginning was eased at the end. Utum Swamin Wahansa, I do mindful walking 3 times a day in 45-minute sessions. I do mindful sitting sessions 40 minutes and 30 minutes a day. My weak point is in mindfulness in day-to-day activities. Recently, I realized that without it, the formal practice won't be fruitful. My mind is so disobedient, Gautam Swamin Wahansa, it likes to proliferate, think, contemplate, but I love to meditate. Please help. Thero Saranai. End of report.
Yes, now if we take that walking experience, you can see that you are mindful, observing the walking details, and that programming comes into action. Suddenly you lose the attention, and without you even knowing, maybe for few minutes, you have been thinking about what to do on a poya day, tomorrow. That's not today, that's tomorrow. So you have been thinking about it for a while. And during those few minutes, you had no real control over it. Whether you like it or not, it happens. So there is no point in blaming yourself, more like due to karma, or more like due to that programming. You lose attention and for few minutes you keep thinking about some matter. And suddenly the awareness appears and you realize that you are thinking about a poya day tomorrow. Then the judgment follows. Your mind starts blaming, your mind starts cursing, judging yourself. So you can see during the first part, there is no choice. It is happening due to some, let's say, due to karma. Then the attention comes. You realize that you are thinking. Then as a result of that attention, the judgment appears. So you can see only at the moment of the awareness, the judgment appears. Before that, there is no judging. Right? So you can see only after becoming mindful, all these blaming, judgment kind of a game starts. So it ruins your mindful moment. Earlier you were unmindful, during that period nothing happens. Then when you become mindful only, the judgment follows. So it is ruining your moment. Now you are mindful and that moment is ruined by the judgment. Right? So meditators, they have to understand for the first part, the part where you are unmindful, you have no choice. So there is no real point in blaming you. If you have a choice only, you have to blame yourself. But if there is no choice, what is the point in blaming? So the program is running. During that part, the program takes control. You are lost. You don't know where you are. So don't try to judge yourself. Don't try to blame yourself. This is the reality of the existence. When the programming takes control, you have no choice. So what's the point in blaming yourself? When you blame, what you are doing is you are creating additional trouble. You are blaming yourself for something that is out of your control. The mind wandering part, that's out of your control. And you are blaming yourself for that. And in the process, you are ruining your mindful moment. So if you understand then gradually you have to take control only in the part where you are mindful. The other part you can't take any control. You shouldn't be blaming yourself. Only during the part we are mindful, we try to practice. Let the other part be. That's not a problem. Let it be and practice mindfulness in the moments that you have control. Let it be in your walking, let it be in your sitting. You have a certain part where you are mindful. Practice during that part. There is a certain part where the program takes control. So there's no point in blaming yourself. That part is out of your control. Even in your daily life, you have to approach it the same way. You try to be mindful as much as possible, but there's a certain part that's out of your control. Right? So this way you have to focus walking, sitting and daily activities. And if you continue focusing that way, then I'm sure you can find that the practice works. You can see that the practice comes to fruition. That's the idea. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Bhante. We have another report, again from another adult. Mindful walking. Walked indoors. Attention was naturally on feet movement. At times, attention moved to body weight, shifting from side to side. Sound of heavy rain outside. Pressure in left hip that was noted as pain. Continued to walk when boredom was noted in between sensation of alternate foot pressing the floor. Thoughts floated few times, but these had not taken root, as cannot remember what they were. Noted that boredom was past. Mind watched alternate pressure on floor. Felt neither happy nor sad. Walked for 55 minutes. Mindful sitting. Sat on the cushion in a comfortable position. Did a quick body scan, once eyes closed. Noted subtle breath that became prominent. In-breath cooler, out-breath warmer. Long, deep breath occurred at times, which was noted because of prominent movement of stomach. Attention had moved to body posture. Noted the subtle breath. Sleepiness arose. Noted this as sleepiness. Do not remember hearing many sounds. Thoughts floated. Floated around, which followed by prominent breath, which was noted near nostrils as a stream of air. Sleepiness noted again. Breath broke up. Sensation of bubbling energy arose and subsided repeatedly. Prominent breath appeared again. Sat for 50 minutes. Mindfulness during the day. In the last couple of weeks, the motivation to learn and practice Dhamma has increased. Associating with like-minded friends has been key to this. When something disappointing happened few days ago, it felt like the mind was split into two. One part was experiencing the impact of the event, and the other part was simply noting what was taking place. Felt the heat and pressure in the chest. Volumes of thoughts cascading in the mind and all kinds of judgments arising from mental agitation. It was the noting mind, or is it also the mindfulness, that pointed these out. This helped with slowly returning to the mental space before the disappointment. Of course, not in an instant, but little by little. Amount of mental agitation and judgment was also reduced within the hour. This was a great test of patience. There was a time when something similar would have taken up a couple of days to subside, and it lasts several times. It has been much faster in returning to baseline. It may sound like magic, but it is because of years of practice which continues. Dear Bhante, look forward to your valuable feedback and immense gratitude for the guidance in practice. End of report.
Yes, so it's not magic. You have earned it with many years of practice. And it's good to see that the practice works and you get to see them in such difficult situations. There is this, like, the impact of the incident, and there's the knowing part, observing part. It's more like the split mind. Earlier, only the impact, that part was there, but due to the many years of practice, you have developed the observer part as well. Now it's like a game between those two. The observer is there, the thoughts, memories, emotions, the impact of the incident, that's there. Sometimes these thoughts, memories, they take control. Sometimes again the control is taken back towards the observer. So this is happening time after time, and it's like, there's this neck-to-neck fight between these two sides. And earlier it might take you few days to settle down, return to the normal, but now you are returning to it much faster. Maybe within couple of hours you might return. So you can see the resilience of the mind has improved. And there's a long way to go. When you continue for, let's say, many years ahead, then you realize maybe now it's taking couple of hours, but later it will settle down within few minutes. Maybe after few years of practice, few more years of practice. So you can see it's always a journey, improving little by little, going towards more and more peace. So imagine if few years of practice helped you reach this level. If you continue for few more years, what impact it will have. So that's the very hope, that's the very idea in this practice. We have practiced and we are developed into a certain level, but it's not the end. There's a long way to go. So all of us, we are in that journey. We are making ourselves better, little by little. It won't happen overnight. It won't happen within a week or two. Instead, it takes time, but it's worth it. That's the very idea reflected in your report. It takes time, but it's worth it. So continue, and maybe after a few more years, you'll see even a greater difference.
Thank you, Bhante. That report is a good reminder for all of us to be persistent pace. Right, so that is the end of reports that we have received. Does anyone have any questions in today's session or anything related to your own practice? Now is the time to ask questions from Bhante. I can't see any hands raised. I'll give a few more seconds to see if anyone comes up. Yeah, no one's raised their hand, so I'm assuming there are no questions today. But you're always welcome to write the questions to us at beginnersenvy@gmail.com, or any topic suggestions as usual as well. Write to us, and we will take it up, and we will definitely put that in the next agenda as well. So that will bring us to the end of the session today. I would now like to thank Venerable Homagama Dhamma Kusala Thero for his continued guidance on for years on this program for us. And also we can't forget the Chief Abbot of Nissarana Vanaya, whose ideas was to initiate this program, Venerable Udayiriyagama Dhammajiva Mahathero. May they all may they improve their own practice as well, use this merit to improve their own practice as well. Thank you to all the organizers who are working behind the scene, getting a lot of things done so that this program come to us every week. And also everyone who participate via the live link, or anyone who may be watching later via our YouTube link or Facebook link as well. As usual, we will be meeting at 1 p.m. in Sri Lankan time, and may you have a happy and mindful week ahead. I will now stop the recording and end the program for everyone.